What if I told you that some of the most iconic bands of the 60s have all but vanished from music history? Today we're going to unearth the sounds of forgotten legends that once ruled the airwaves. The Chamber Brothers. The Chamber Brothers began as a gospel outfit before transitioning to soul and R&B. They weren't well known until they released a hit single called Time Has Come Today. The single was a huge success and a big push for their career, but other albums would be a sorry story. Not that the songs were bad, they just never achieved the same level of success as Time Has Come Today. They would eventually split up as expected, putting an ending to their brief career as a group. Paul Revere and the Raiders. Paul Revere and the Raiders were an American rock band that was famous for their time. They had several hit songs including Just Like Us and Midnight Ride, and the colonial-style costumes they would wear during live performances were pure gold. Their falling out began when Mark Lindsay left in 1975. The group remained with Paul Revere leading it, but they would struggle to keep up and adapt to musical changes and trends as time went on. Although they lost their fame, rock and roll in the 60s would never be complete without them. The Amboy Dukes. The Amboy Dukes shook the world of rock and roll in the 60s and beyond before splitting up. Journey to the Center of the Mind was a great track that every rock and roll fan owned and served as an anthem, with many other hits being released. With Ted Nugent's guitar antics and stage diving, the live performances were always top-notch. But good things don't last forever. Like many other bands, they had internal conflicts that led to their split and Ted Nugent's decision to pursue a solo career. The Seekers. The Australian folk pop group gave one of the best love ballads. If they were on TV or the radio, you knew it was time for some love. Their harmonies were just always beautiful, and Judith's vocals were one of a kind. After she left the group in 1968, they slowly started to lose their fame, and they actually split up, reunited, and then split again before finally disbanding. Although they ceased to exist as a band, the music lives on in the hearts of everyone that loved them. Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs. Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs were known for their blending of rock and roll and Tex-Mex music and made for an unforgettable sound. The group was led by Domingo Sam Zamora, popularly known as Sam the Sham. They were loved for their catchy melodies and distinctive energetic rock and roll sound. Their most classic hit is Wooly Bully. The band had their fair share of conflict that paved the way to decline, and eventually they would disband, but Sam the Sham continued with his music career, albeit less successfully. Barry Sadler. Barry Sadler was a man of many talents, author, musician, and even Special U.S. Army Forces. He was known for his hit song Ballad of the Green Berets, which topped the Billboard 100 chart. The song was written in honor of the Green Berets for their role in Vietnam. Sadly, his fame and success would be short-lived. After many years of battling depression and financial trouble, he then took his own life, a tragic ending to something that seemed so promising. Jan and Dean. Now on to the amazing duo of Jan and Dean, high school friends who would later become musical stars. Their songs had catchy melodies and lyrics that spoke about surfing and then cars and teenage life. They were the heart of the city, influencing bands to come like the Beach Boys and Weezer. But all good things have to come to an end, and unfortunately Jan was involved in an accident that caused the duo's split. They got back together after her recovery, performing until her death, which was the final ending of the act. The Marcels. The Marcels shot to fame after releasing their debut single Goodnight Sweetheart in 1960. They were popular for their doo-wop genre and melodies, which was a thing at the time. Their hit single Blue Moon was considered a classic of the genre, but popularity began to fade when the doo-wop genre stopped being a thing. The group would first split up in the late 60s and then get back together in the 70s, and then Richard Noss died in 2018. That was quite a long time to walk and work together. Unfortunately, their fame wasn't like it was before they split. The Searchers. If you know the Beatles, then the Searchers should ring a bell. The British rock and roll band was popular at the time for their blending of rock and roll, pop, and folk music, and if you remember their hit song Sweet for My Sweets, then you were a true fan. There were several lineup changes over the years, with Tony Jackson being replaced by Frank Allen after he left, and Mike Pender being replaced by Billy Adamson. Unlike other groups, they continued to be successful for a time, but would eventually fade, losing their fame as a result while not being able to keep up with the changes in musical taste. Blood, Sweat, and Tears. If jazz, rock, and fusion music is your thing in the 60s, then you'd recognize this band in a heartbeat. Blood, Sweat, and Tears were the group of jazz, rock, and fusion music, and they sure knew how to catch the heart of fans around the world with hits like Spinning Wheel or everyone's favorite, You've Made Me So Very Happy. The band would be formed by Al Kooper, and after the release of their debut album, Child is Father to the Man, he left the group. David Clayton Thomas was brought in as the lead vocalist, and the lineup change would be a huge push for their career. They ended up winning a lot of awards and were featured in several TV shows and performed with top artists at the time. A few factors contributed to their falling out, including changes in lineup and people's change in musical tastes. Blood, Sweat, and Tears may have fallen off the radar of time, but they contributed greatly to the rise of jazz, rock, and fusion music. Herman's Hermits. Somehow, despite not being as popular as they were in the 60s, Herman's Hermits, like a few other old-time music groups, still exist today and tour the world. The band was once one of the most successful British bands of the 60s. Herman's Hermits had several hit songs that topped the Billboard charts and appeared on television shows like Shindig and The Ed Sullivan Show. Fans always look forward to their live performances, especially Peter Noon's vocals. They appeared in several films like Mrs. Brown, You've Got a Lovely Daughter, Hold On, and a few others. Their decline included a breakup and Peter Noon starting a solo career. The Rascals. With hits like Good Lovin', People Gotta Be Free, and Groovin', the Rascals certainly lived up to their name. They had fans wanting more. Talk about a music group that had audacity. Their commitment to social justice was enviable, and their live performances as well. They were always energetic, and it became contagious to the crowd. The band's breakup would begin when Eddie Brigatti left the group, dissatisfied with the band's management. His absence would cause their success to go downhill, and eventually they broke up. Manfred Mann. Manfred Mann were popularly known for many hit songs, including The Mighty Quinn. They had hit songs that topped the UK singles charts, reaching top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100. There were a lot of factors that caused their split. They were frustrated with being solely known as pop stars and would go on to try other musical genres. Paul Jones left the group after a musical change and the formation of the new group, Manfred Mann Chapter 3. Although the band is still around, you'd have to be a true fan to remember them in their heyday. The Fifth Dimension. This American vocal group formed sometime in 1965 and were one of a kind. Popularly known for soulful melodies, blending vocals, and mushy lyrics, they attracted the attention of both young and old. They sold over 10 million records, won a lot of awards including 6 Grammys, and they were the happening group of their time. But things would change. The fallout began when Marilyn McCoo and Billy Davis decided to pursue solo careers, as it was the initial plan before the group had even formed. The music remains popular to this day, but unfortunately people had to say goodbye to the group. The Youngbloods. The Youngbloods were the epitome of one-hit wonders. Their hit single Get Together, released in 1967, and was a huge announcement to the public. They would release more songs over time that gained recognition, but they weren't the huge hit like Get Together was. They also received credits for being one of the pioneers of the folk rock genre. Their career as a musical group was brief, and it was interesting nonetheless. The popularity began to fizzle out when other members would leave, with Jesse Colin Ryder being the only constant primary. The Shadows. The Shadows were popularly known for being the backing group of Cliff Richard. However, they were a success on their own. They gained popularity after the release of Apache in the 1960s. Their use of guitar-based instrumentals was iconic and gave them a distinct sound all of their own. They were the first rock band that achieved significant success in the UK, and their numerous breakups would be the cause of their reduction in fame. The Kingsmen. The Kingsmen were one of the few bands that dared to release songs with controversial and cryptic lyrics. You may remember Louie Louie. Well, that's the Kingsmen. The same Louie Louie would bring them huge fame that they have today. Nothing screamed controversy as much as that song did. They were the kings of the world of rock and R&B, and over the years, fans began to shift their attention to other styles, lessening the attention and the fame that the Kingsmen had. The Sonics. Some people believe the Sonics should have gotten more recognition. They were one of the first garage rock bands that gained popularity and paved the way for other bands to come, and their music was known to have catchy melodies and humorous lyrics, winning the hearts of everyone. Their first split took place in 1968, but they reunited a few years later, releasing several albums until Jerry Rosley's passing in 2016. They struggled with having widespread, mainstream success, and their music never reached a more broad audience, resulting to very little recognition. The Music Machine. The garage rock band was formed by Sean Bonnewell with the addition of other members who made up the group. Their biggest hit was Talk Talk, which was released in 1966. Most garage rock fans gravitated to the song. They had a brief career that owed to a lack of proper finances, as their singles did not sell very well. They had internal conflicts, and members had different visions musically. The Electric Prunes. This California rock band was popularly known for psychedelic and garage rock sounds, as well as their hit single, I Had Too Much to Dream Last Night. They were one of the first bands to emerge from the LA psychedelic rock scene, and lived up to their name through their use of distortion, fuzz, and audio effects for their music. If you ever watched The Twilight Zone, you'd recognize their song. It was featured in the movie. The band had a series of challenges, including pressure from the label they were signed to constantly produce new material, and some members struggled with substance abuse. They didn't tour as much as they should have, and it was a major reason that they weren't widely recognized. The Chocolate Watch Band. If you watch The School of Rock, then you'll remember the Chocolate Watch Band. Their song Let's Talk About Girls was played in the film. Fans of rock and punk music loved the Chocolate Watch Band. Although they weren't really popular, a few of their songs rang in the hearts of their fans. They had a significant impact on the development of rock and punk music. Bands like the Sex Pistols, The Damned, and others have given credit to the Chocolate Watch Band for their musical style. It's not far-fetched why they didn't have such fame as other groups. With the emergence of bands like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, and the likes, the Chocolate Watch Band fizzled out in fame. The 13th Floor Elevators. The first use of the term psychedelic to describe a music genre is from the 13th Floor Elevators. They're recognized for their musical style of psychedelic rock, similar to the Chocolate Watch Band. Tommy Hall's electric jug playing was a unique feature of their music, and after the release of their hit single You're Gonna Miss Me, they gained fame, but it was short-lived after one member got imprisoned for possession of drugs and many other issues that they faced. The Standells. The Standells were another American rock band that gained recognition when they released their single Dirty Water in 1966. Fans who appreciated garage rock genre listened to the Standells. The band broke up sometime in 1968 and would later reconcile in the 1980s. Despite the success of their hit single Dirty Water, they just couldn't and didn't have another single, and this played a major role in their lack of fame. The Count Five. The Count Five was an American rock group known for their blending of garage rock, psychedelic rock, and folk. They were a group that was led by Ken Elner. The band would be cited by other rock bands like The Clash and the Ramones for being a major influence on their musical style. After their hit single Psychotic Reaction brought them a bit of fame, they couldn't release any other singles. It seemed to be a struggle for many bands, being a one-hit wonder. They broke up in 1969 and pursued solo careers, but would eventually get back together in the 80s. Despite their reconciliation, they never achieved the amount of fame that they should have. The Bonzo Dog Doodah Band. The Bonzo Dog Doodah Band were a British comedy group formed in the 1960s. The music genre often included psychedelic jazz and blues. They had catchy lyrics and could be theatrical, witty, and humorous, and it was one of the major reasons that they stood out. People often looked forward to their live performances, especially with Vivian Stanshall, whose flamboyant stage presence would always remain iconic. The Bonzo Dog Doodah Band would decline in popularity owing to many reasons. None of their singles achieved mainstream success, and Vivian's personal issues led to their breakup and the following solo careers. The Outsiders. The Outsiders were a favorite of many, and you may remember their song Time Won't Let Me. It was a huge hit, topping number 5 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1966. Following the success of the single, they released songs with Tom King leading the way, but their success would be short-lived. Following the release of Time Won't Let Me, other songs had failed to make the same success, and it would be a major reason why they stopped being heard, and of course, why they split up. The Remains. Not only were they one of the most influential rock bands in 1960, they were iconic. Notable songs like Why Do I Cry, Don't Look Back, and Diddy Wah Daddy caught massive amounts of attention. But it's one thing to be influential and another to make a significant commercial success. It affected the group as well as their breakup, which allowed members to pursue other things before they eventually got back together. The Pretty Things. The Pretty Things were the embodiment of everything your parents warned you about, but bad things always attract. The British rock band were known for their energetic raw sound and rebellious attitude, and after success of their single Don't Bring Me Down, they would gain large recognition. The In Crowd. Formed by Mike O'Neill, this British mod and rock band were known for their blending of R&B, soul, and psychedelic music, and also known for being a part of the mod scene that played regularly at London's famous Marquee Club. Unfortunately, mod style waned over time, which led to their fallout, and it was the typical ending to their career. The Five Americans. Rock bands will either have their success owed to numerous hits or be a one-hit wonder, and for the Five Americans it was the latter. After the success of their hit song Western Union, they couldn't follow up with anything else. They had very little fame, the label they were signed to had limited resources, and they couldn't sponsor the band. What did you think about these groups from the 1960s that fell off the radar, and which one of them was your favorite? Be sure to let me know all about it in the comments section down below. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that you never miss another great video like this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.